What's good, y'all? It's your boy Matrix CEO. Trade-tastic just slid through in the building undetected using a what? Anti-heat map cloak. That's how we roll. This is another episode of It's Not That Deep. I'm bringing you the info verified from my scripts and notes from what I've been scraping. Today, shout out, we're going to be shouting out blackpast.org, the real Kelly McCoy, and Wikipedia, of course. We're going to be diving into Charles F. Page and who that man was and what he contributed to the world. I'm still working on that collabby out and all the science got giants. I'm trying to tackle back there, but I got some real crazy moves that are being made. Next level things that I've made that I'm actually trying to slide in on a corporate level, you know. So in future in future reference and things that like I shout out, you know, just keep an eye out type shit, ponder type shit. Come on now, we're really locking in, especially on X. We gotta take over X, boys. But anyway, we're gonna be diving into the life of Charles Fredrick Page today. Charles Fredrick Page was a black man born into slavery in the year 1864 in Rapids Parish or Caddo Parish. We don't know specifically, Louisiana, because there's little very information on his childhood. You know, there's a lot of slavery's history that is undocumented, and there was no birth certificate because they were considered property instead of autonomous citizens at the time. The cool thing about editing is that you can just hop in and where you're wrong or just went off the rails a little bit. This is such a high level intellectual topic that needs to be deciphered by some of the brightest minds, because take this in. So yeah, that kind of is true, that last part that I said about them not documenting births for slaves, but birth certificates didn't become widely mandated in the United States of America federally, I believe, until 1919. It still was a thing, but it was only for really, really classy people. So the church actually held the records for many people that were born through what's called baptismal records. So they would record people's baptisms. And Baptist churches and a lot of other, or not Baptist churches yet, but the church in general actually started to separate over this aspect of giving everybody the opportunity to be recorded in history. So there was a lot of churches that broke apart that actually would baptize all people of color and anybody who wanted to join the faith, essentially. Definitely bear beef, definitely bear underground shit. So much hidden history needs to be revealed, bro. But I looked into the parish. I'm still just about to look right now to see if it is a Baptist church, Rapids Parish. But Page still didn't have a certificate, and in the blackpast.org paper that I was reading through, or article that I was reading through, journal that I was reading through, autobiography that I was reading through, didn't biography. Autobiography is when you write about yourself. A biography that I read through, it didn't say that he had a baptismal record. So maybe that's a family personal thing or something like that. But I just found that so interesting how I kind of whitewashed that history myself still. So there were Baptist churches actually around that time in the 1870s and 80s that were, especially black churches as well, that were breaking apart in Jim Crow at that time. That shit was like the formation of the heart of the black church to actually provide baptismal records for anybody who came into the faith on their land, or my bad, in their church. Not their land, I'm cooked. In their church, who wanted to get baptized, essentially. But just for deeper insight, we can look into the history of Rapids Parish. Funny enough, because I'm too lazy to look into Caddo Parish, which I'm not gonna do. But shout out Caddo Parish. I don't even know what it is, but I'll just look into one of them. But it's still going to provide us with more insight on the history of America, of course. Rapids Parish, which was recently settled by the Appalachian tribe, I hope that's how I'm saying it, with the permission of the governor. I'm sorry, my fault for not looking up the proper pronunciation. My fault, dog. The tribe, being indigenous to Florida from 1450 CE, occupied the Florida Panhandle until the 18th century when the Spanish settlers arrived. These are my notes, by the way. Sorry for reading. I'm not at that level yet where I can just read through a lot of stuff because I have a lot of work to do and a lot of guap to make, you know, in these streets. So I gotta level up, and then I'll be at that position where I can just read it through like 3 times and then just be able to talk to you like this. I do that with the science videos because I have a lot of like background, but it's still not that deep. I gotta expand my mind and keep fighting, you know, the mind war. Come on now. I'll explain that too. Damn. Shout out my dogs, though. Shout out my dog. Shout out Studio Monk. Come on now. Okay, let me lock back in. When Spanish settlers arrived bringing diseases, investing in their tribal enemies, and encroaching on their land each year, severely decreasing the population. Remember, they occupied the Florida Panhandle. I put an image there until the 18th century. They spoke a Muskegon language called Appalachian, which is now extinct, interestingly enough. Not much is known about Charles's childhood. Now we're diving back into Charles F. Page. Not much is known about Charles's childhood, as lives of slaves weren't really documented at the time, but this man was a genius as he taught himself how to read and write. A Civil War baby, his birth during the final chaotic years of the American Civil War. This is for all Tartarian mans too. This is for all Tartarian mandom too at the same time. It's crazy. It's crazy how worlds collide. It's crazy how worlds collide. You'll see. It's crazy how worlds collide. Meant he was among the last generation of African Americans born into bondage in the United States. Isn't that crazy? It's a special man. The invisible years. The exact date of his birth is unknown, and there are no census recording listing him or his parents by the name from this period, a common omission for enslaved people at the time. That's crazy, though, you know, because I got to keep moving in life, you know, Matrix CEO. Perhaps the most remarkable part of Page's childhood is the pursuit of knowledge against the law. During slavery, it was illegal for enslaved people to learn to read and write in most southern states, bro. It's actually crazy. Like, imagine being a black man at that time, getting caught, like, reading a book, like, a manual on, like, how to, like, fix, like, your car, and then they figure out you have a car, nigga, and, like, the KKK's coming at night, bro. Yo, man, such a struggle, bro. It's actually crazy. Man, we gotta stay focused. Defying the law. Despite these system barriers, a young Page, take that in, a young Page taught himself how to read and write, an act of great personal courage and determination. This self-sufficiency would define his entire life and fuel his later inventive genius. All of what I'm gonna, this is me, with a more, what's it called? With a more, personal, intrusion. I said, all of what I'm going to be focusing on is before the airplane was invented. Guys, don't forget that very important point. Damn, I was on it at like 3 a.m. when I was writing this down. Damn. Page was described as a deep thinker who both thought about many subjects but also attempted to execute many of his ideas. His daughter stated that he was inspired by a mosquito hawk in the 1890s to build his own airship. He designed the airship and filed a patent for it, which was registered as the United States Patent US 817442A, dated April 24th, 1903. Dates, bro. Tartaria mans. Dates, bro. Between 1899 and 1903, at his home in Pineville, Page built a full-scale version of a bi-ballooned flyable airship. His craft was a complicated mechanical balloon device. First, the invention was unique in that it was a bi-ballooned airship, unlike the Zeppelin airship of the same period. Secondly, the bi-ballooned airship, the real Kelly McCoy, shout out the real Kelly McCoy, the bi-ballooned airship's boat hull included a rudder for steering purposes and a propeller operated by a gas motor to send the airship in any direction. Page's invention improved stability, propulsion, and control, advancing airship technology in the United States of America. The hull and propulsion system, directional flight, beyond just floating. Page equipped his airship for true directional flight. It was designed with three key components that worked together: a boat-like hull. The main body of the airship was shaped like a sailboat's hull, which housed the pilot, and the image is right there, which housed the pilot and the engine. A gas-powered propeller. A propeller operated by a gas motor provided the thrust needed to move the airship forward. Rudder for steering. Attached to the hull, a rudder allowed the pilot to change direction and steer the craft. Also, my brother put me on this. He was like, bro, there was a black guy that was flying before the Wright brothers built the plane, bro. You don't even know. I was like, nigga, what you talking about? I was like, what you talking about that crazy shit? Bro, this is crazy, bro. And it gets crazier, bro. By combining the stable lift of the bi-balloon system with the powered propulsion and steering of a boat-like hull, Page's invention was a complete flyable airship capable of controlled powered flight in any direction, bro. And if you know about oil, and if you know about gas and trains and transportation in the States, it's pretty much clapped, if you know what I mean. Page's, and this is, it shows, like, it's literally a part of the fucking, the greater fucking, the greater theft of human ingenuity, bro. It's so messed up. He literally made a system for everybody. It's so messed up, bro. Listen to this shit. Or just keep listening if you want to. By combining the stable lift of the bi-balloon system with the propeller, With combining the stable lift of the bi-balloon system with the power propulsion and steering of a boat-like hull, Page's invention was a complete flyable airship capable of controlled powered flight in any direction. His patent was formally titled Airship and was granted over a month before the Wright brothers received their patent for a flying machine. Bro, remember back when language mattered? It still kind of matters. But that's so deep in that point, bro. An airship. Would you rather be in an airship or a flying machine? That's nuanced. It's completely nuanced. Nobody can answer that objectively because it's just based off of your sense of safety. No. Flying machine is a lot more personal. Airship has to deal with practicality, sir, and mass transport of people or cargo or product. Like, come on now. And it fits, bro. Because you can go higher than a flying machine. A flying machine can't touch the fucking... I mean, it can. But nobody would expect that. I would expect the airship to be much higher than the mesosphere. And, like, be touching the stratosphere, you know what I mean? But anyway, let me continue. All right, we are locking back in, boys. Let's get it going. On April 24th, 1903, he filed a patent with the United States Patent Office. In 1904, while his patent application was pending, Page sent his creation to an exhibit at the 1904 Louisiana Purchase World's Fair in St. Louis, Missouri. While it is not clear why he wanted to show his invention at the fair or why he wanted it shipped rather than delivered in person, speculation years later, from grandson Joseph P. Page suggested that shipping it was the custom of the era. Interesting. Since it was shipped on a freight train, I want you to take this in. And this is some deep, dark American history. For real, for real. Listen to this. Because this is how deep the ops think, bro. It's crazy. You can think on the highest level. Your enemy will literally be there, right there. Will be right there, a step ahead. Just waiting for you to finally give into the universe of all the efforts that you've put in to finally let the universe take you. Your op, your enemy, will be standing a step ahead right there. Listen to this. Since it was shipped on a freight train, there was no room for Page as a passenger. Page may have been inspired to compete in the international aeronautic competition held at the fair because of a grand prize of $100,000. But me personally, I think Page was a very, very deeper man. I think this was the first step in a giant path for him to become Matrix CEO. A considerable sum during that era. Imagine being a black man with $100,000 in 1904, bro. Listen to this. The airship, however, mysteriously disappeared. But we all know what happened. Listen to this. Listen to this. The airship somehow, however, mysteriously disappeared en route to St. Louis. Eva Page, the inventor's daughter, who suspected racism during this Jim Crow era, was quoted in a 1974 interview in Alexandria Daily Town Talk, a local newspaper, as saying, "It was stolen. After that, Papa never built another one." Page moved past the loss of his invention and devoted his life to helping his community individually and collectively in many ways during the Jim Crow era. In one instance, he developed ways for local tenant farmers to diversify crops and infrastructure that would eventually allow them to own their own farms over time. In another example, he created a group of mediators that helped prevent a race riot after the murder of a local white student. Page also established a brickyard for the black community member to use, built coffins, and practiced amateur dentistry for people who could not afford these services. Seeing a need for a proper cemetery for black community members in Pineville, he founded the Lincoln Memorial Cemetery. Charles Fredrick Page died at his son's home in Alexandria, Louisiana on November 18, 1937, and was buried in the Page family crypt at the Lincoln Memorial Cemetery. Regarding his father's legacy, daughter Eva Page said in her 1974 interview in the Alexandria Daily Town Talk, "He always thought people were more important than airships." Listen to this. Despite this setback, Page received United States patent number 817422 for his airship on April 10th, 1906, before the Wright brothers received U.S. patent 821393 for their flying machine on May 22nd of the same year. Page received inquiries and offers to buy his patent, but he refused. He was so discouraged after the airship disappeared that he basically gave up any further attempts at constructing an airship. Bro, this was gonna be interstate travel, bro. Like interstate Airbuses, bro. America's literal, like, actual reality is illegal. This is such a really good story. This is such a really good story that I wanted to add to the series because it's just so motivating in the sense that, like, your biggest contribution to the world could literally be something that nobody's ready for yet, in any sense, in any context. And that's how you have to see Satan. You have to see Satan the same in every single light, bro. Just because Satan's in a different form, you can't give that form precedence over the other ones. You know, no matter which way we have to react to it, we all have to have the same level of philosophy to basically keep the game going in a way where new players can add new pieces to the culture, man. New pieces to the puzzle, man. Freedom is a lie, bro. It's the craziest lie. It's the craziest lie, bro.